joined now by a man who in a couple of weeks was supposed to be put in the Towson Hall of Fame, but for obvious reasons that induction not going to happen, so he'll be inducted next year. One of the greatest lacrosse players in Towson history, Danny Cocchi. Danny, you were part of a team in the early 2000s that in the year 2000, you only won 3 ball games. Then in 2001, you make it all the way to the Final Four, shocking the entire lacrosse world. What was the difference between that 2000 team and that 2001 team?
Well, I was part of Coach Siemens' first recruiting class. So coming in there and trying to mix everyone together with chemistry from Coach Runk's era to Coach Siemens' era was a little bit of a challenge, trying to change things around and different mindset and abilities that we had. And I think with us playing together a little bit more and understanding more into the system and what we want to do and who we want to be and a mindset of, tough, athletic, run and gun guys bought in. We got some good freshmen that came in that year as well, and that were good thoroughbred athletes that really bought into the system and fit the mold very well that Coach Seaman designed. And like I said, the guys just got along very good. Chemistry is the biggest thing there.
The one thing I remember about that 2001 team is the defense basically had the green light to just go. And if you scored, you scored. And nobody was bashful.
We didn't have the greatest shooting percentage, but yes, that was true.
was that the plan from the beginning of the season, or is that something that developed over the course of the season?
That was the plan from the beginning. That was a plan from being recruited, in the fall of '98 of Coach Siemens' theory and his mindset of, we want to have all long stick middies out there at a time that can play defense, and we'll adjust and teach you guys how to play close defense so we can play that run and gun defense. Like I said, shooting percentage wasn't great, but I think we were more of the mentality to try to shoot the ball through the goalie than around the goalie, But that's what it was. We had a lot of guys that can play long stick midi, and we had guys that can play down low. So if you were tired, you went down below, you bumped someone else up top to jump on a wing. And that was the mentality that we had from day one, and everyone bought into it, and everyone loved that theory.
The other thing, when you look back at that season, you started off 2-2. You lost a close game to Maryland, who was number 3 in the country at the time. And then the following week, and I remember this kind of like just turned the whole season around, you beat Dartmouth in a double overtime game, came back the next week and beat Loyola, who I think was 10th or 11th in the country. That Dartmouth game, if I remember, really turned your season into a special one. Yeah,
it definitely was. I think that was a turning point of guys knowing how tough we can be, that things weren't going to be easy for us, and to flip that switch. Your buddy, Hunter Lochte had that goal that turned it around for us. It really helped that season go along. But I think the guys realized after that game that it's enough playing around. We had to say a close one with Maryland, then you take Dartmouth into double overtime. It's like, this is not who we were. I think we're a little too cock-headed going into it, and we had to get things going and going quickly. And guys, we sat down after that game. Everyone was happy and content with the win, but we knew we had to get better from there. And I think everyone pushed each other from that next day in the weight room and on the practice field, and things went smooth sailing the rest of the way.
You won 7 straight games. You end up winning 14 games that season. The big win was your return match against the Terrapins down at College Park. Still one of the greatest games I've ever seen of any Towson team. The 1-goal victory in that game. And what were your emotions walking off that field, knowing that you were headed to Rutgers in the Final Four?
It was sky high. I don't think we all would have thought it would have happened that quickly. From the emotions that went on the whole way. I was thinking about that game, last year when that team got, put as the team in distinction into the Hall of Fame last year. It was funny coming off that win, we were finally able to practice on the soccer field. We were never allowed to do that, That's when Cascade came out with the new helmets, the nice rounded ones. We had those, the little small coin decals, stickers on it. And we just got Adidas to give us new cleats. So we were on cloud 9, getting all excited. We got this, we got that. Now things are going well. But, even still today, it still gives you chills throughout your body talking about it. Even with, a couple of teammates, you guys get together and have a couple beers here or there. It's like you still talk about that. And it's, again, the emotions still build up inside of you. The goosebumps are still, coming in my arms right now just talking about it.
in my head as I was speeding.
All right, so you made the Final Four. You lose a heartbreaker to Princeton. What are your emotions coming off the field after that one?
That was tough. We thought we had them. We turned the whole stadium around from being Princeton Tiger fans to being Towson Tiger fans, at halftime coming out and doing what we did and holding to that. We knew deep down inside of us that no one wanted this, miracle season per se to end. We all went down deep, down tough, and, whether unfortunately the refs didn't hear Coach Seaman and call a timeout at the end or not, Coach Seaman is loud voice. It's hard to say it, but, it's how loud and rowdy that place was. But the emotions coming off that field were tough. No one wanted the season to end, especially that way. And all of us would rather lose by 15 goals than lose by one with, under a minute left to the eventual champ. So it's definitely heartbreaking knowing one more play, one more ground ball, whatever would have been, could have changed that game around. And who would have known what would happen after that,
And then let's go a decade and a half forward. You make it to the Final Four as the Tigers' defensive coordinator. You got a lead against Ohio State, and you end up losing that ball game in the Final Four. Can you compare those two seasons? I mean, they're pretty much, again, everyone thought you were going to be a good team, but I don't think anybody thought you were a Final Four team.
Yeah, I think both teams are very similar. The chemistry was there with the guys. The guys were really close. And the seniors that were with us were our first full recruiting class, coming in. So we had all those guys built up to make it to that run in 2017. The emotions are still the same for you as a player and as a coach. It's just a little worse because, you can't do anything as a coach. You can't suit up and get out there and do that, and really show them, one thing or the other. So, I think the same type of thing with that game, right? It's just one play, one shot off a pipe on man up, guy gets, released out of the box just in time, and they come and score, and that just turns it around as you build all the momentum. But I think as a player and a coach, anytime you're in an atmosphere like that, things are, goosebump worthy. The emotions are high, and it's just the way it is, and that's the competitive nature inside of us. You're always going to get upset about something,
So the win against Syracuse to get to the Final Four meant just as much to you as the win against Maryland to get to the Final Four as a player.
Yeah, I think exactly that. It was the same round. It was I think that Syracuse game was a statement game for us. I think we knew really how good we were with that game, especially, on the defensive side with the way Goodrich, Mays, and Jack Adams were just literally throwing around their midfielders all over the place. I think that was a statement game that really built a lot of confidence into our guys and building that lead. And, Joe's, famous shot heard around the world, but again, guys bought into each other. Those guys were a really good group of kids that really bought into each other, really good friends to today. I know that. So it really helps going forward with that.
Yeah, we had Ryan Drenner and Joe Sider on a couple of weeks ago on Tiger Talk, and you can tell that they're still real close. And it's like you're very close to a lot of your old teammates.
Absolutely. Those are chemistries that you build and relationships that, those guys are going to be in each other's weddings parties, when they get older, I mean, like right now, I'm working with two of my teammates from there, with John Horgan and Brad Repper, so, get out of coaching for a year, we're going to get back into it. But, what you do, you call up your teammates and your friends for life, and those guys, connect you into the real world, and get you guys jobs and help out. And it's going to be the same way with those guys too. I mean, everything that Towson has done, for any of their student athletes. I'm sure every student athlete that has went through Towson University and the program has and can say the same exact stuff. That everyone's a brotherhood. Once a Tiger, always a Tiger, and everyone builds on that emotions no matter what sport you played. Everyone is just close.
Danny, we appreciate the time. Always great to visit with you, and that Hall of Fame induction will come soon.
Thank you very much, Spiro. Again, congrats on all those years, talking through the Tiger Town.